All right, welcome back. My name is Gary Freshour again, and really ready for some holiday cocktails, some winter cocktails. And as you can see, still, I'm ready for the winter. So I wanted to make two cocktails, but first off, I wanted to introduce this baby, Tree Juice. It is a maple syrup, but it is a bourbon barrel maple syrup. And so adding maple syrup to cocktails is really good. But then when you add the bourbon barrel to it, which is basically maple syrup aged in bourbon barrels, it gives it a smoky taste and kind of a butterscotch almost, a little bit more than your normal maple syrup. So we're going to be adding this to our cocktails today, and then obviously our very own toasted fig, which will really give it that winter taste, that holiday taste. So the first one we're going to make for you is a whiskey sour. And to do that, so we'll just go ahead and make it, I guess. So first thing we're going to do, so I'm using, again, stuck on the rye, I'm going to use a Bullet 95 rye whiskey. And we're going to get a shaker. And if you don't have a shaker, which most of you may or may not have, you can use a mason jar and shake it up in that. But we're going to do 2 ounces of whiskey. Mine is pouring really slow. That's okay. And then we're going to do 3/4 ounce of lemon juice. So lemon juice, whatever you can get from the store, doesn't really matter. So 3/4 ounces of that into the shaker. And then we're also going to do, we're going to get this maple syrup. And again, this stuff is really good. So we're going to do 3/4 ounces of this. And it's probably consistency wise, I'd say it's about as thick as any maple syrup you'd find on the market, but definitely tastes a lot different. So you get those ingredients, pop those in the shaker, and you want to add some ice to your shaker first, or spill all the ice first, and that's okay. And then shake all that up for about 15 seconds. All right, that's enough of that. All right, so we got it in the shaker, and now we're going to get some ice into our glass, and we'll see if I spill it. Almost. So we'll get the ice in there, and then we will strain it over the ice, get it all in there. So now, got a whiskey sour with this awesomely smoked maple or bourbon barrel syrup. So you taste it. The maple syrup comes through. You get a smoky taste. You definitely get a little bit of the butterscotch. It's good. You get the sour. So then the finishing piece of it, you get the toasted fig, and you just put it on top. You use 1 dropper full. I could almost smell it even when I was picking it up. There's the Christmas flavor. So you get the cinnamon added to it, and the vanilla. And that's a whole different taste. Changes it completely. That is good. And that feels like a holiday drink. So next up, we're going to make an old fashioned, also using this maple syrup and the toasted fig. So cheers. All right, let's see. Old fashioned. All right, so let's get ourselves an old fashioned glass. And I'll move this out of the way. Well, I'm going to keep it right here because I might drink some along the way. So we're going to make an old fashioned. And so for the old fashioned, we're going to do this. We're going to build everything in the glass. So you don't need any extra shakers or anything like that. This is very, very simple. And so what we're going to do with this one, we're going to go with the maple syrup first. And we're going to add about 1/4 ounce. And notice I say about 1/4 ounce because I'm not super scientific or anything, but it's probably pretty close. And keep in mind, the maple syrup is really, it's decently thick. So you want to get it nicely stirred first. So once you get your maple syrup, then you're going to want to add your toasted fig. And we're going to want to blend those flavors first for the base. So let's stir this around to mix it up for, I don't know, maybe a good 10 seconds or so. It's pretty thick in there. I can probably show you how, I don't know if it shows. Yeah, a little bit. So it's pretty thick. So we're gonna get that nice and stirred up. Make sure we get the flavors all melded between the bourbon barrel maple and the toasted fig. Once we get that, we need to dilute it a little bit. So we're gonna add about another 1/4 ounce, not a little too much, of water. So that'll give us the dilution we need. So now we're gonna stir that again. Get that all nice and stirred up really well for maybe another 10 or so seconds. And I guess while we're stirring that, I can try this again. It's nice I can multitask with drinking. All right, so once we got that, so now we're gonna go in and add the whiskey again. So rye whiskey, same whiskey. I actually really like this whiskey. And we're gonna go in with, I've seen some recipes they call for 2.5 or 1.5, but I would prefer 2. So we're gonna go 2 ounces of the whiskey again. And now, so we'll smell it. It smells really good. All right, we're gonna stir this around a little bit too. So now we're going to, on top of the blended maple syrup and the toasted fig and the water, now we added the bourbon. And the rye bourbon goes really well with it. So the last thing we'll add is ice. And so a lot of times I've seen in videos where they add an ice ball to it, or they usually have like these cool little tongs. I don't have tongs. So I'm gonna add this and I'm gonna expect a splash, but I'm gonna try my best not to. And there it goes. Okay. That's all right. A little bit of waste, but really good old fashioned. It's sweet. It's got the sweetness from the maple syrup, and you still get the butterscotch. And the vanilla really comes through from the toasted fig and the fig. But I'd say you can, probably the most is you smell the butterscotch. Like this is really good old fashioned. A little messy, but you don't have to use a big ice ball. You can use regular ice, you can use a square, whatever you want to use. But the ice ball is nice because it melts slower. So those are the drinks for the day. So happy holidays, cheers, and we'll talk to you here soon. Thank you.